Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well out there. We got some show and tell for later here. So got a bunch of stuff to go through here. So see who we got in here today. Let's see here. Hey, Colin's here. Let's see. How you doing, Colin? How are things going over there with the Queen's Jubilee? Oh, okay, cool. Doom Eternal. I don't think I have Doom Eternal, although I might. Put this on. Is Doom Eternal? That's the latest one, right? Because there was the remake, which was pretty damn good. Well, that's good to hear that it has no impact on your life, because that was my concern, was that, well, you're in Scotland, so yeah, I could see where it wouldn't have any impact, but I'm pretty sure the people in like London and England, other parts of England and stuff, they're having impacts just because of like traffic and all that kind of shit, because they're probably having different events and celebrations and things like that, and it's screwing up traffic and all that. So yeah, it's good to hear that. Yeah, it doesn't have any impact on you guys over there in Scotland. So that's what I was concerned about with anybody over there in the UK, is that I know what it's like when, if the president like comes anywhere near your state, uh well, I shouldn't say anywhere near your city, um you can anticipate there, if there's a motorcade anywhere near you, you can anticipate traffic issues, because they block everything, and then that has a ripple effect and it fucks everything up. So yeah, I mean, I'm just as a Yank over here, hello Bastille. Um as a Yank over here, uh we're disconnected from it, except for uh the fact that anybody does anything for 70 years, for 7 decades, is impressive. I don't care what it is, and people can say, well, she lived the privileged life and all that other stuff, but if you know I've taken the time to like learn a lot of the history of um, stuff that the Brits and you guys all went through during World War II, or you know not you specifically, but people over there, um, with the Blitz and everything that they've gone through, and it's like being the head of state, or the figurehead, or whatever you want to call her, for 70 years, going through all those trying periods and everything else. That's still damn impressive. So, hey Lapis. So let's see what this thing tells me here. Participants. Yeah, it's accurate right now. Okay, cool. Um, so let's. Is anybody playing Diablo Immortal? Because I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. For you guys already know that I'm not giving Activision Blizzard any of my money until Bobby Kotick is gone. But even if he was gone, I wouldn't have anything to do with that because it's a mobile game, and my understanding is it's all microtransactions. So yeah, let's see what we got here. Let's go to PC Gamer first here. Diablo Immortal isn't quite pay to win, but it's close. Uh, see if there's anything else worth checking out. I'm not seeing any big stories. See what Kotaku has to say. Sometimes Kotaku will have stories that no one else is covering. So, oh, the Spider-Man game is coming to PC. The PlayStation Spider-Man. I guess it was really good. It's coming to PC. I did see that announcement. But yeah, other than that, I don't see a whole lot of. Oh, Wolfenstein: The New Order is free at Epic Games this weekend. If anybody that wants it and doesn't have it. Lapis says I might try it, but won't buy anything in it just to see what's so important. We have yeah. So you know, I'm sure everybody knows the history of that game. That is the historic fuck up by Blizzard at BlizzCon that one year where they thought they were going to announce Diablo 4 and that it was going to be coming out and all that, and instead they announced this Diablo Immortal, and people in the audience were pissed off and booing and stuff like that, and the guy makes that famous comment, what, you guys don't have phones? Like, yeah, asshole. We all have phones. Doesn't mean we want to play a Diablo title on or a AAA game on it. I don't want to play anything on my phone other than Wordle and stupid shit like that, just to pass some time. You know. Let's see here. Colin says I don't play mobile games. Too predatory. Agreed. Well, it's all about microtransactions. If it's a mobile game, it's all about doesn't matter who made it, who put it out. It's all about microtransactions. So, Colin also says I have the New Order, one of my favorite games of all time. I have 100% Steam achieved. Woo. I finished New Order. Pretty sure I finished it. That's the one I finished. It was the one after that I it's the only game I've ever returned to Steam. I did a return on and got my money back. And that was the hell was the name of that? That was the Wolfenstein one where it was like that you played two different characters, I think it was two different female characters. I think they were sisters or something like that. And the reason I returned it was it would not run at all on my rig. It kept locking up. It had and then I'd go to the forums and I'd try to there's a couple little workarounds and things you could try and everything else, tried all that, still didn't work or whatever. It's the only game I ever returned to get my money back. So um Blizzard making mistakes at BlizzCon. No, so say it so uh Baramosa, thank you for the comment. Um and is this some kind of early April Fool's joke? Yeah, that I think didn't somebody Somebody said that, right, at BlizzCon? I think that was, like, one of the people they had the mic and they gave it to the guy and he actually asked that. Like, you know, that should have got the point across to him how disappointed everybody was, you know? Yeah, and Baramosa, we can't just, uh, confine it to BlizzCon. Blizzard making mistakes is, as we all know, is, kind of a 24-hour a day operation for them. So, um, and a lot of that I don't blame the people that the worker bees that work there. I blame everything on management. So I still remember how badly they did answering the comments about WoW Classic servers. Horrible. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you guys if any of you guys ever played any of the old when it was Sony Online Entertainment SOE Sony Online Entertainment that did the original EverQuest and then EverQuest 2 and Planet Side and Star Wars Galaxies and DC Universe Online and all that DC Universe Online. Um, but SOE before it sold to Daybreak, who has it now, I think. They used to do an annual before I think it was even before BlizzCon did it. They did a SOA did like a players. I can't remember what the hell it was called, but it was the same type of thing. It was a they go to Vegas. They do it in Vegas, and uh, I just remember that the presentation and the I want to make sure I word this correctly. Their ability to connect with the players, you know, as like the fact that they played the games too. SOE with all of its issues and all the fuck ups it did, um, when it came to that event, it was always well received. Like, um, BlizzCon it was always known for like being out of touch with the players, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah. Um, so I wish I could remember what they called that thing. Anyway, it wasn't SOE Live or anything like that. It was some other. I can't remember what the hell it was called. Matter of fact, I was in a video they played on stage one time because they before the event they asked YouTubers to do videos about their favorite um, uh, EverQuest 2 memory or EverQuest or EverQuest 2 memory. And so I did it. I told my story, and they actually put it in the collage. And I have it on my channel way back when I first started my channel. I actually made a video of their presentation that had my story embedded in it. So you guys can go back and try and find that. It's way back, like 9 years ago or some shit like that. Um, but uh, I just remember like a lot of the developers would cosplay at the event, at the SOE event, and they would go down and then they would go out and they would have parties and stuff at right there in Vegas at the hotel or whatever, and they'd go down and party with the players and all that stuff. It just seemed like um it was more like the developers and the players celebrating their games together as one, as opposed to like Blizzard where they kind of like just you know have a script and want to tell you exactly what they're going to say and all that other stuff, and then they're very they're not as approachable, you know. And that was the two different events, BlizzCon and whatever the Sony one was, whatever it was called. Um, that was for me. That was the difference when I would watch them, you know, online and stuff. So I wish I wish that Sony Online Entertainment, as it was back in the day, Star Wars Galaxies days, and all, I wish that had stayed that way. I wish they hadn't sold and all that. But you know, um, part of their demise, part of Sony Online Entertainment's demise, was World of Warcraft because all of their games, they had a way of presenting their games, the original EverQuest and the first Planet Side and all that, and then Star Wars Galaxies came out. And then when World of Warcraft launched, uh, they decided, well, we've got to. They had to compete, try to compete with World of Warcraft, and they changed their whole formula on how they did everything because they wanted to become Blizzard. They wanted to make, they wanted to compete with World of Warcraft, and that was their demise. That's why Sony Online Entertainment's gone. They made so many mistakes, they ended up saying fuck it, and they just sold the company to Daybreak Games, which is what it is now. Now, having said all that, you guys noticed that I just posted my newest EverQuest 2 Let's Play on the new Time Lock server, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure what's pushing it. I mean, they've done time lock servers before, but the interest in EverQuest 2 has gone through the roof. Like, YouTubers are doing videos again. Not just me, but bigger YouTubers are doing videos, and um, the population, as you could see in the playthrough I did on the Let's Play, it's I'm not sure I don't know if it's just that people are nostalgic and they wanna go back and try some, or if they've just gotten burned out on stuff like World of Warcraft, and maybe not necessarily saying they got burned out on Final Fantasy 14 because that's a very popular game, but maybe they've done all the content and they heard, just heard something about EverQuest 2 and they decided to jump over and try it. I'm not sure what's pushing it, but it's kinda crazy. So, I'm enjoying it. Um But then again, I still play Star Wars Galaxies on the emulator, so I'm the weirdo in the bunch that plays these old games and stuff. So how's everybody's weekend going? Did anybody go see Top Gun yet? Maverick? Or am I the only one? And Obi-Wan. We talked about this last time that um, I'm enjoying Obi-Wan. I had a couple little nitpicky things, but overall, it's been pretty good. We're gonna do our see you, Bastille. Thanks for checking in, man. Yeah, Colin. My opinion, it's. I don't go to the movies, and I drug my ass there because it something told me it was going to be good, and I'd heard a lot of good things about early reviews and stuff, and I'm glad I did because it was what you don't really see anymore at the movies is just a kick ass good action flick, good story, um, feel good movie, uh, yeah, just good movie. So, oh yeah, it's better, and part of that is because of the ability. They didn't use any CGI in the movie. It's all practical, special effects, but the technology, even with that, is so far superior to the original because of how many years ago it was. Um, it's a wild ride, man. I mean, yeah, you just got to see it. So. Yeah, and again, Baramosa, I don't go to the movies. My wife and I generally stay home and we wait for stuff to come on streaming and we just watch it on our big TV and you know, we're just more comfortable at home. We're able to pause it, go to the bathroom if we have to get a snack, whatever. But this one I'm like, I think I want to see that on the big screen. And yeah, I don't know that I'd go see it on IMAX. That might be a little bit too overwhelming for me, on a gigantic screen, but on the regular big screen, it was badass. So. And what was oh, I know what it was. The other movie that launched the poor Bob's Burgers movie went up against Maverick. And I've heard the Bob's Burger movie was actually good, but it got overshadowed by Maverick. So, and I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan. I love the TV show, so I love that kind of humor. So, um, I got to, I don't know that I'll go to the movies to see that one. I'll probably wait for that one, but I've heard that one's good too. if you're a fan of that type of stuff. Yeah, Colin says, "Yep, he likes Bob's Burgers, great characters." I agree. It's just one of those things where if you either like that type of humor or you don't. There's not really people in the middle on that, and I happen to be on the ones that and I didn't even know anything about it. My nieces, my 2 nieces are the ones we went to Comic-Con here in Salt Lake, and they cosplayed as uh, Tina and Louise. Um, and I remember somebody else who was cosplaying too, but I didn't know. I was like, "Who are you guys cosplaying?" They're like, "From Bob's Burgers." And when I was like, "Oh," and that's when I went and checked it out, and I was like, and then I binge watch all the seasons. Bob's Burgers versus Maverick is like the guy who had to follow the Beatles on TV in the '60s. Yeah, exactly. Or the person who followed Elvis, right, on the Ed Sullivan Show, right? It's like imagine being that guy. Elvis goes out there, the crowd, the women, everybody just loses their fucking minds, and you're the poor bastard that has to go on after that. Shit. So let's start on our. Let's start on our. We got 9 people in here, so let's start on our show and tell stuff here. So I pulled out my accessories folder here from all my D&D stuff. And this is all, I think it's all for basic Dungeons and Dragons. So we'll start with this one. This is the AC2, the Combat Shield and Mini Adventure. And this one I actually opened it up because I want to show you guys this thing. So it actually comes with a little module in it. Hello, Mistra. Peas and thank you, burger. Yeah, I love. Somewhere there's a. What the hell was it? Was it a? I want to say it was like one of those day calendar things or something like that, where you could peel the thing off each day, and it had the chalkboard that has the daily burgers for Bob's Burgers. It had that on there, and each one you peeled off was a different one. So, but so this is the adventure that's in there. This is the Treasure of the Hideous One by David Cook. So it's just a little mini module that comes in this accessory here, this combat shield. And the reason I want to show you this, guys, was this. I'm trying to figure out because never used it, but I'm trying to figure out who this is specifically for because it's not really a DM screen. It doesn't call it a DM screen. It calls it a combat shield, but it has tables on here that only the DM really would need, like the monsters to hit roll. Why would the players? So right here, you have the monsters to hit roll table. Now, I don't know why the players would need that table. If monster reaction chart, I don't know why the players would need that. It has all the experience tables and stuff, which is kind of cool. So regardless of whatever character that you're playing, you can, follow your what you need to level up and all that. But I just thought that it was kind of it's comprehensive because there's a lot of information on it for whoever's going to use it. But it's still, I still have to ask the question. Experience points for monsters defeated. That would be up to the DM. So I just thought it's a neat product from back in the day, but not sure who, if it was for, I think it's more for the DM than it is player, but it's called the Combat Shield. So a unique product anyway. And it came with this little mini adventure. So pretty cool. Perhaps, Mister, you could be right. Hey, DM James, yeah, do you know Do you know if this was geared towards players or DMs or both? Um, I mean, it says all you need to run combat, so that sounds like a DM to me. Then why didn't they just call it a DM screen? You know. So anyway, it's one of those different products that. This is the book of. This is AC4. The Book of Marvelous Magic, and again, this is all for basic D&D, and this is by Frank Metzner and Gary Gygax, and it says also compatible with advanced dungeons, so you could use it for basic or advanced. And this one was a book of magic items and stuff. So this is a very handy book for players or DMs, either one. A great artwork on the front there. So that was AC4. Let's see here. Oh, I kind of missed something here. Baramosa, are you still here? Because I want to answer your question if you are. Yes, you are. Okay. So Baramosa is a bit off topic, but I was a fan of the original Dark Tower, and so you had the unboxing of the Return to Dark Tower. Any thoughts now that you had it for a minute? I think that it is a fantastic game. It's a fantastic product. But if somebody was hoping for an experience the same as the original Dark Tower, this is a different type of experience. It's similar, but it's different in a lot of ways too. It's a lot more complex, a lot more different ways to play the game. There's a solo mode. There's all kinds of stuff. So if somebody's lucky enough to have both, that would be ideal to have, the original and then the return. Just different products, and just because of the age difference and the fact that they're trying to appeal to an audience, and they did their. I mean, they made like $4 million on the Kickstarter or something like that. So, yeah, and they're selling it in stores. You can pick it up now. So, okay. I missed something that Mistra said. So, Diablo Immortal, just when you thought Blizzard had done its worst monetization, Diablo, the next series they're gonna kill. Warcraft wasn't enough. I agree with pretty much all that, Mistra. Yeah, he nailed it on the head, and that's my feelings. I remember when they sold player shields. Also, they were class specific though. So I have that memory as well. I have some of the DM James. I have some of the little briefcase things that they sold. The little plastic briefcase kit things that they had for, like, there was a priest one, there was a wizard one, there was a rogue one, and there was a fighter one. There was 4 of them, and those had those shields. I think that you're talking about in them. But this is the oddball. That's an oddball. This combat shield thing's an oddball item because it's basically a DM screen. So just call it a DM screen, because they'd put out DM screens before this came out. So it's just kind of a weird product. Mr. says the WoW token was the beginning of the end for of WoW. It didn't help, that's for sure. Yeah, it does suck. I've been through it with several franchises. I went through it, with Star Wars Galaxies, and yeah, the list goes on. So it's unfortunately, it seems inevitable with MMOs anyway. So, moving on. I think I got everybody's comments. Hello, Chupa. If I did not already say hi to you, hi, Chupa. And Lindis Jones. Oh, I missed Lindis Jones. Linda says, I want to see the Batman movie, but I don't want to be stuck in the theater for 3.5 hours. The Batman movie is streaming now. Lindis, I'm not sure which streaming service, but it is definitely streaming, because we watched it on our TV. So I can't remember which one it was on though. So now this is AC1. This is the Shady Dragon Inn. This I have used a lot. This is basically a it's a compilation. It's 100 pre-generated characters, all different levels, classes, races, you name it. So for NPCs, I have used the shit out of this thing, um, and it's presented nice. So you've got decent artwork on it. It's called the Shady Dragon Inn. So the premise is that um, it's this inn that you go to find some NPCs and stuff like that. So that was a good one. All these accessories were well done, and I love the artwork on this one. This is the creature catalog. So this is kind of like the monster manual for basic D&D. Um, but yeah, the artwork is pretty cool on that. Uh, the guy's got looks like he's got a gnome uh, magic user or illusionist by the collar or whatever, and it's pretty cool. So this one was AC9 creature catalog. So yeah, that one was basically their monster manual. Then you had the let's see here. We had the Bestiary of Dragons and Giants. So let's see here. I can't show this one though because that's got my address on it. So what we can do here is we can do this. So this is the Bestiary of Dragons and Giants, AC10. And it's basically, you can't really see the artwork because I had to cover it up, but basically this was your kind of another monster manual, but specifically for dragons and giants that you could use in the game. And there was actually a generator in this. I think it's a wheel or something that you could generate, or tables that you could generate randomly if you had an encounter for your players. It was like they're going to run into a dragon. You had a generator. You could use that table to figure out randomly which type of dragon and all that. So um, another helpful accessory. So, and then lastly, we have the Book of Wondrous Inventions, and this is AC11, and I think this one was more unique magic items and that type of stuff. So that is just, and I think I have some more, but that's a good sampling of the different accessories that they came out with for basic D&D back for during second edition. So yeah, and I'm sure DM James, if he's still here, he's probably got stuff that I don't have. So let's get caught up here. Mistresses, it's not even that hard to remain quality, in my opinion. Status quo, occasionally innovation based upon player base already enjoys. Well, the problem is that developers, the problem is corporate structure, and specific in most cases, it's corporate America, because most of the companies we're talking about are based on the corporate America model, where and I get it that they need to make profit. I get that, but um, the amount of greed that they will, and the level of greed that they will go to the extent of throwing everything else under the bus, meaning quality or personnel, employees, whatever it is, in the name of profit. And what happens is the product suffers. When the product suffers, the relationship between the player base and the developer fucking dissolves. And we see it over and over again, not necessarily just in video games, but we see it more recently in the last decade or so, just the erosion of the relationship between the player base and the developers is damn near gone. Well, and here's the thing, Mistra. There's always people at the companies that are designers and artists and all the people that do the work and everything that are gamers and they do understand. But the people that make the what I call the bean counters, the ones that make the decisions at the top, they're looking at spreadsheets and shit and numbers and analytics and all that. And they, to be honest, they couldn't care less uh, what the players want because they went to business school and went to college and went to business school, and it was drilled into them that you look at the numbers, you look at the statistics, you look at the analytics, and you make decisions based upon that to for the next quarter's profit. Not even further down the road, what the next quarter's profit, and they make decisions based on that, and it doesn't serve the player base well. So that's just the reality of the corporate America business model. You know? Exactly. So yes, but their input is ignored. Exactly. So uh, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You have the people that care about the game and care about the quality and care about the connection with the players and all that, but they give their input to their supervisors who give it to those supervisors. That it amazing. It does probably doesn't even make it up there. Even if it did, they wouldn't care, to the top. It just um Lapis says it's like producers in movies. They see what hype and make money and say we need that in our movie exactly, and without listening to the audience. Um, the the independent movie makers and independent game makers and everybody else, they're the ones that you'll find a diamond in the rough, some game, and it'll be an independent, an indie title or whatever, or you'll go see a movie or you'll see one on one of the streaming services and go, yeah, who made this? Was it, Paramount? Was it Universal? Was it Warner Bros? No, it's some little indie thing or whatever, and it's fantastic. And that's because it hasn't reached that level of corporate bullshit. You know, Perfect example, BioWare. BioWare, when they were putting out their incredible games and everything else, what happened? It got corporate because they got in bed with EA, got bought out with them, um, sold out to them, whatever, however you want to word it, and there it goes. That's just what it is. You know, DM James says the audience is misogynistic and racist. Disney. Yeah. Yeah. Disney is trying to um, they're trying to pander to everything at once, like every possible demographic, all at once, and they're rather than saying that there's going to be content that's in context to the even say the time period or the storyline or whatever. They're just gonna try to pander to everything simultaneously, and uh, they're not. There's no way that they're if they do that, there's no way they're gonna keep everybody happy. So see, I thought Rogue One was a good movie. I thought Rogue One was well done. So Mister says me, I don't like the actor of this movie. You're racist because he's black. It's like the meme saying that you like pancakes and the response is you don't like waffles. So I've seen both, Mister. I have seen people that if we're going to talk about Obi-Wan, and I can't think of the actress's name, but um, the black actress that's playing, oh shit, I can't even think of the character's name right now. Um, anyway, I have seen people that say they don't like the character and they don't like the performance, which is fine. But then on the flip side, she has actually gotten really bad racist DMs, like in her social media and stuff. People calling her the N word and all this other stuff, and that's inexcusable. If somebody doesn't like the performance or they don't like the character or whatnot, casting, whatever it is, that's fine. That's up to personal opinion. What they like or they don't like about that character or the performance, etc. But it doesn't excuse them to go and make racist DMs and stuff and attack somebody. That's horseshit, you know. So the fan base doesn't help themselves because there's always a certain population of the fan base that is racist and everything else, and they basically then the reaction is that anybody that says, "Oh, I didn't care for that performance, I didn't like that casting or whatever," they automatically get lumped in as a racist because other people have attacked that person. It sucks, you know. Hey, Bastille's back. Yeah, so what we've ended up doing is that between corporate reaction to or overreaction, let's say, um, coupled with um, a certain small margin or a minority of people who are toxic, but end up attacking somebody and making threats or being racist or whatever. And so you have the two extremes. You have that extreme of people being racist and all these other things. You have the extreme of corporation um, overreacting to any criticism at all and trying to lump them together, and you get what we have. You have a soup of toxicity, you know. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying Obi-Wan. I have some issues with it, some nitpicky stuff that bothers me. But I've tried to in my mind, and I'm not going into specifics here because I don't want to do any spoilers. In my mind, I've tried to work it through, thinking of, okay, well, I'm trying to rationalize it and say, why is the character doing this? Why is the character doing that? Doesn't make any sense. And then I'm thinking, okay, what if XYZ, you know? So let's see here. I don't think anyone is excusing the incredible small fringe group of numbnuts on the web. I think it's an excuse to fail. I can respect that. George R. R. Martin. I'm guessing that George R. R. Martin is what you meant, right? For blame fans, what they did. How about product change and the new Lord of the Rings isn't Lord of the Rings. There's too many inconsistency already. Um, yeah, and I think all of these arguments have validity. I think that it's sad that when you have that small minority of people who take it to the extreme and start attacking actors or actresses or whoever who are trying to just do their jobs, and they basically they fuck it up for everybody else because then the corporations, everybody they they overcorrect, and then those of us, the 90% of us who are your average fans who want to enjoy something and everything else, basically we're in between these two extremes, you know. So James, without giving spoilers, um, I can see your statement making sense because I had the same feeling. And then, like I said, I've been trying to rationalize it in my mind about what they're trying to do with the character for an arc, for a story arc. And I'm thinking, okay, and again, I don't want to go into this too much because I don't want to give spoilers away, but some of the decisions that things that Obi-Wan is doing in this so far in the series have not made sense to me. But then I thought through it and I go, well, perhaps there's a perhaps XY, this without giving a spoiler, this is the reason. And I'm hoping that as they finish the arc of the story, that some of that will come to light and it'll make more sense. Now, again, I could be completely wrong, and they could be just fucking up the character. That they absolutely could be. I'm holding out, hoping that no, maybe I'm right and there's a reason. So, but be consistent with Tolkien's lore if you're using the Lord of the Rings. Absolutely, yeah, you have to be consistent. Yes. Um, I think I'm behind here. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Just DM, just James and Bastille talking to one another. Okay. Um, with Rings of Power, for example, they want to latch on to the Lord of the Rings popularity, but they also want it to appeal to everyone, so they make changes like wanting your cake and eating it too. Yeah, and that's what I was saying about the extremes of these production companies and everything, trying to please everybody. Um, yeah, I no, I get that. Linda says when they killed Han Solo the way they did, I stopped caring about all of it. Yeah, that and Baramosa. So Baramosa, your point about Leia flying through space is what killed. That was my biggest problem with the whole goddamn thing. That was the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. When she did, I call it, she was doing the Space Ghost. Now, those of us that are old enough to remember the cartoon Space Ghost know what I'm talking about. She was doing the Space Ghost thing. That's what it felt like to me. And now, stay with me. Here's how I would have, because of that explosion and everything. If they wanted to have her use the force and show that she could use the force and so forth, um, in a powerful way. Um, Perhaps when the second that the explosion began to breach the hull and everything, perhaps she uses the force to basically create a force field to keep the debris and the explosion and everything from bursting in and hurting everybody and causing everything to blow out into space. And perhaps she uses the force that way as opposed to ending up out in the void of space and then somehow doing Space Ghost back into the ship or some bullshit like that. That was my problem with it. Yeah. So um wouldn't that so Baramosa says that would have been dope. So doesn't that make more sense as a from what we know how we've seen the force used is literally it's a force, an invisible force shield basically that can be used in a lot of different manipulated in a lot of different ways. And I'm thinking if she's that powerful, perhaps she could have just done basically an invisible force shield to protect from the blast, as opposed to ending up out again out in the void of space where apparently she was impervious to the cold of space, the lack of oxygen. All Hey, Bipedal, I missed Bipedal coming in. Howdy, Bipedal. Yeah, and so Bipedal, I missed your when you came in that you said talking about Disney jumping from to racism to distract from plot holes. So the plot holes, like I was telling everybody else here, I'm trying to reconcile in my mind that there's could be some reasonings. If I was going to write it and the plot holes that I have seen, there are ways I could write it and could have depicted it on screen better. Um, let's just use the with this isn't really spoilers. The tunnel issue, um, bad guy versus good people in the tunnels, should have come across one another. That is an example. Okay, there were other branches off of that tunnel. That's why they didn't run into each other. But they didn't show that on screen. There was You're left to assume. The only way that makes sense is that there had to be other branches of tunnels that so they didn't intersect, and that's why they didn't run into each other. But they did a shitty job of of conveying that on the screen. You're left to think of that yourself to say, well, there had to be other tunnels, there had to be other branches off of it, and that's why they didn't run in because otherwise it doesn't make any sense, right? So yeah, so I'm having to do that. That's my problem with I'm enjoying Obi-Wan, but I'm having to do that a lot. I'm having to think of, okay, well, um, I mean, there's one that there's absolutely no excuse for, and that was that stupid laser gate thing with the vehicle. Them They can't use the controls to let down the laser gate and everything else, and then he ends up doing it somehow. I forget what he did, but he smashed it or whatever and got it to and then he pulled back, and you can see that you could walk around either side of it. You could literally walk around it. And somebody said, "Well, I think that perhaps maybe they were taking it down because they wanted to take the vehicle through." Now, if they had taken the vehicle, jumped back in the vehicle and drove that through, that would have made sense because you would have had to have you couldn't have driven it around it, but you sure as shit could have walked around it. There's two pillars with the gate, and then you could just walk around either side of it. So that didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, yeah, and Colin, you're not the first person that's made that that comparison. That was absolutely right. The laser gate made me think of the scene with Blazing Saddles with the toll booth. Um, but there was also, I think there was something Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner and all that with Wile E. Coyote with like the Roadrunner just created like a barrier and or what was it? I can't remember what there was something similar to that, and the coyote was too fucking stupid to just go around or whatever. I can't remember what that was, but so yeah, we need a shitload of times. So yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, uh, I will say having said all of the things we just talked about with all the problems with the Star Wars and with all that, um, I'm going to say one thing that a lot of Star Wars fans won't say, and as with all some of these plot holes and the whole Leia space ghost thing, um, those are to me are extremely disappointing with some of that stuff. However, I'm still glad that there's more Star Wars for me to watch. Maybe it's just because I'm too nostalgic about my childhood and seeing the original in 1977, you know, opening day or opening week. I can't remember. It was first couple of days, and because of that, I still like the fact that there's still new Star Wars to watch. So, um, even with all the problems, I'm still glad that it's there. And one problem that I do have is when people want to blast George Lucas all the time. And it's like, has George Lucas made some decisions that they don't agree with? Absolutely. However, I will always be indebted to George Lucas because without we wouldn't be having this conversation. He created the whole damn thing. He created the one of the largest phenomenons in the world. Everybody around the world knows what Star Wars is, knows who Darth Vader is, knows who Luke Skywalker is, and for 40 years it's been that way, and that's because of George Lucas. So I'm thankful that he did it. And now, yes, are there issues with the current Star Wars? Yeah, but I'm glad he did it because I'm glad I got to experience it. So DM James, I would rather not eat than eat poop. Well, okay, but um, I'm to me it isn't to that point yet where uh, I dislike it. I'm so disappointed that I would take that um, approach because I don't consider it. I don't uh, equate it to that analogy that you just put up there yet. It could get worse, and it could get to that point where I say I'm not watching Star Wars anymore because it's that bad. But it hasn't gotten to that point yet for me. So Kathleen Kennedy can kiss my ass. I told the I don't know if you were in here by Peter. I have a personal history with Kathleen Kennedy when I worked at Universal and she was working for Spielberg at DreamWorks at Amblin Entertainment. She was one of his producers, and so I told that story before. So um, from way back, that was before she went to because she ended up going to Paramount first, I think, I believe, and then she ended up with Disney. But um, so yeah, Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, I don't have any good things to say about her. So yes, that is a fact, bipedal. And I don't use the word hate. I don't like the word hate. I don't I don't want to say I hate anybody. Hatred to me is a very strong term. Dislike, absolutely. I have a lot of I have a strong disliking of Kathleen Kennedy. Um, so it's just that's just a personal thing. I just don't like the word hate because it makes me think of maybe it's because I was in Germany during the Cold War and then I went to Dachau, one of the concentration camps from World War II, and hatred was a key theme. So yeah, I just don't like the word. So yeah, critical drink. I need to watch more of critical drinkers stuff. I haven't. I always forget to. There's so much content of everything that I'm trying to consume. Um, you know, games, TV shows, movies, people on YouTube. Podcasts, whatever it is, and yeah, I need to. I'm gonna open a window right now and put that in so I will remember. Yeah, because I want to see. Looks like he's got a take on Maverick. So, Mistra, the only exposure I've had to Mauler is on Friday Night Tights with Nerdrotic and Heel versus Babyface and Nina Xfinity and all that. So, yeah, I didn't know that he. I'm guessing he must have his own channel then. If you're mentioning that, so Around the time Drinker started, my wife said to me about doing my own YouTube along the same sort of themes, and I said, "Nah, a daft Scotsman doing that." Glad I didn't. He's far, far better. Okay, yeah, I need to check out Mauler too then. Uh, so, Mister, stay with me on this. Tell me your opinion of this statement. I also one of my favorite things to watch was when Nerdrotic and Heel versus Babyface would do backing, boarding, and chatting, the real BBC, and it was just those two. And then they started bringing Mahler in, and now they might even have. I think Nina might be involved in the real BBC too. For me, it was at its best when it was just Nerdrotic and Heel versus Baby, just the two doing their comic book bagging and boarding, and then showing the comic books, talking about whatever, just shooting the shit or whatever. The fact they added Mahler and then I think they've even added Nina now. To me, it's taken away. I liked it when it was just the two. So, if we're gonna name drop, check out uh, it's a Gundam and Razor Fist. I've heard of Razor Fist, not the other one. More stuff to add to my to-do list. Yeah, it just seemed to be that with just the two of them, there just seemed to be just the right amount of back and forth dialogue about a particular subject where you didn't have a third person and now even a fourth person trying to interject in between that into that conversation. So that's just my opinion. So my problem bipedal with heel versus babyface and nerdrotic to a certain extent with both of them. When I first started watching them, the BBC thing and all that, they always had their issues with whatever the topic was. But now, for what I'm seeing is that um, if you look at the thumbnails on like Nerdrotic and Heelverse, every thumbnail is it's like they're going out of their way to be extremely negative about whatever it is, whatever movie it is, whatever whether it's the MCU, TV shows, whatever it is. It's like every thumbnail is catastrophic failure. Just it's like okay, it's like is that the edginess that they're trying to be having that edgy edge lord take on everything to is that basically to get people to grab people and get them to watch, or do they really believe that literally everything that's put out now is shit, like literally everything, like they did. I cannot remember the last thing that they liked. That's negativity gets clicks. So is that so am I correct in me thinking that, James? Is that that's why they do that? Because I mean, um, hard to be positive about garbage. Like yeah, I agree, Mister, but there's been good stuff. Maverick is fantastic. Um, I have yet to see, you know, a thumbnail that says, outstanding or whatever. It like James said, negativity gets clicks. So, Mister, my point is that I wouldn't know that based upon the thumbnails on his channel. I wouldn't know that he liked Moon Knight because every thumbnail that I see is every one of them is failure, destroyed, catastrophic. You know, Disney fucked this up. They destroyed. They did. It's like I get it. Yeah, there's a lot of shit to be negative about, but and I think it comes down to what James said. Negativity gets clicks. So. Anyway, so it's out. I'm over an hour here. Um, well, yeah, um, I was really blown away when he had Alex Jones on. It's like I I get it to be cynical. I get that. Alex Jones is batshit fucking crazy. That dude is in the stratosphere bonkers. I mean, and maybe he does that to get his audience, but he's paying the price for that now with lawsuits and having to file bankruptcy and all that other shit. Uh, So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna call it here. My voice is not gonna take much more. So, but this was a good session here. Got a lot of stuff discussed. Lapis says, quick question. You mentioned before you like Disco Elysium as a longtime old CRPG fan. And when I thought about getting it, thoughts on why you like it. Um, it is, um, there's a few different things. The mechanics they put into the game for what you would use as ability points to spend ability points and everything. It's your thought cabinet, and it's all about different parts of your psyche. There's humor. The writing and the storyline are fantastic. The art is good. I mean, it's if you go to PC Gamer, they consider it. It was their game of the year it came out, and since then they've done like top 100 video games or whatever, and it's been the top for them since then every time. So it's hard to just put your finger. It's one of those things you just got to experience. Um, so it's not for everybody because there's no real Twitch like gameplay to it. Like it's making decisions and making choices on all these different RPG elements, and the story goes from there based upon your decisions and all that. And when you're doing skill checks, it actually rolls dice on the screen for you, whether or not you made that skill check and everything. And all these things go into how and driving the story. Um, the main character is fantastic. So there's all different reasons why I like that game. It's a masterpiece. So now I want to try and I would say that the way that your name is it Peter uh Drzkowski, Piotr, uh Piotr or Peter, um Peter Drzkowski. Welcome. Thank you for checking back. Exactly, Colin. But would you agree, Colin, that it's the um, the fact that they created a whole this Revachol world and everything, and they're they're going into um, what's the word I want to use here? Geopolitical topics and psychological topics, and it's just yeah. So if I just say Peter, you're good with that then, because I was trying to make sure I didn't mess up your name, but we'll just use Peter going forward. So, all right, everybody. Thanks. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I think I acknowledged everybody. So, until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the flip side.